You're alive.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're starting a little bit early. Going to give everybody some time to come into the chat. Again, if you guys are watching this video, like and subscribe. I'm here with the living legend, Mike Mays.
Please.
The living legend. This guy's been working so hard this weekend, and we have more weather coming up next weekend. So the floor is yours as we start, and then as we get questions, I'll step off and step on.
Okay. What I'm going to do first is talk about what we expect tonight and tomorrow morning because we're still dealing with leftovers from what we had over the weekend. So
Absolutely.
There has been still a lot of ice left on roads, especially the secondary roads. The sun has been out. Temperatures have gotten into the mid-30s today, so there has been a lot of melting. There's a lot of water on the roads, and tonight we expect the low temperatures to fall into the upper single digits to low teens. So refreezing is likely. Wind chills in the morning could be as low as 5 below up in the northern counties, single digits here in the triangle, and perhaps around 10 or so in our southern counties. So it's important to note, once the sun sets, temperatures are going to drop dramatically, and we're going to have refreezing take place. So if you don't have to be out late tonight or tomorrow morning, stay home. We want you to be safe. And we'll probably have refreezing again Wednesday morning because as the week goes on, temperatures will remain cold. In fact, I've got an iPad full of goodies here, and so I wanted to show you what temperatures look like for the rest of the week. 12 for the low on Tuesday. Thursday we have 20. Saturday 15. 15 on Sunday. So the Arctic air isn't going anyplace. And it's important to point out, since we have all this Arctic air, there's another weather system coming up this weekend. And I wanted to point that out. So let's go over to the next graphic. So these are the upper level winds and temperatures, and all that purple you see is Arctic air that will be spilling in. So let's go through time, and I wanted to point something out specifically as we got to the end of the week. So it's cold air after cold air moving on in. So through the rest of the week, our highs will be in the 30s, morning lows will likely be in the teens, so frigid air is here. And it's also important to note that we will have cold air when the next system sets up. So by Friday, we see a trough starting to form. It dives down to the south and east, and as it really starts to intensify, it starts to form an area of low pressure off our coast. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh no, here we go again. We have another winter storm coming up this weekend. Now, we really didn't bring it up Saturday and Sunday when we were covering our icing situation because the models kept flipping back and forth. One run, that would be there. The next one, it would be completely gone. In fact, the American model last Friday had this digging down into Florida, coming up the East Coast and just slamming us with snow. And then over the weekend, it was completely gone from the models. This morning, all that changed. The American model and the European model are now showing the same kind of scenario where we have a very deep trough in the upper atmosphere giving life to a surface low offshore. We've got the Arctic air, and where that low forms will dictate how much moisture we see come inland. If it's closer to the coast, we could see quite a bit of moisture. If it's farther offshore and this upper level low shifts farther offshore, all the snow would be out in the Atlantic and we wouldn't see anything. So the reason why we're talking about it on Monday, even though it's not going to be here till Saturday, it's a potential big system. What we're seeing in the models looks very impressive today, but as we go through the days like the last week's storm, it will change day by day. So it is subject to change. We need you to know that, and we need you to keep checking back. So it's looking like it could be pretty decent. And I wanted to point it out on Futurecast, Jalen. And so here is the look at Futurecast at 11 o'clock Friday night. I want you to watch, Jalen, how this forms. You see the snow across southern Virginia. We go through time. Let me push the button and see how it develops. And notice we see quite a bit of snow across central North Carolina.
Yeah,
and
I
so
do.
The surface low forms here, all that is rain offshore, but since we have all this Arctic air in place, we are anticipating snow to develop. There's the upper level low. By Sunday morning, it begins to shift offshore, and it will all pull out. So it's important to note, if this develops farther offshore, we would see nothing.
Okay.
But if it develops the way the models are showing it right now, we could see quite a bit of snow. And at this point, there's no, oh, it's going to be freezing rain, oh, it's going to be sleet. I think the cold air, when you look at the atmosphere in 3 dimensions, when you want snow, you have cold air at the surface, you have cold air at the middle levels, and you have cold air in the upper atmosphere. And there's something called the crystal snow growth region, kind of like in the middle part of the atmosphere, where the snow develops. If it's cold throughout the column, that snow will survive its way to the ground. And we think at this point, if there's moisture, there's enough cold air through the column for it to develop in the form of snow.
I love it, love it. And we got a couple comments in. If our sound is going out, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop your questions in the chat. We're talking about things that are happening next weekend. We do have our first question. Also, in the chat, if you're watching, please let us know how our sound is. If not, I can adjust it in front of here. Jordan out of Sampson County.
Okay.
If we do get winter weather this weekend, will all the layers of the atmosphere be cold enough for an all-snow event.
And I just explained that, yeah, that would be the possibility because we have so much Arctic air in place that it would allow for the entire column. I've looked at the European sounding, forecast sounding. I don't have the European sounding, but it's probably looking the same, and we have enough cold air from the surface and allow for it to all be snow. Now, the interesting thing is if this coastal low develops farther offshore, the higher snow potential could be for you, Jordan, and Sampson County, and areas down east. So if it tracks a little further inland, we could see it back all the way to the west. If it develops farther offshore, it may just be the coastal plain and the coast that sees the big snow, or at least the big snow potential.
Absolutely. And Jordan, thanks you for answering his question. Again, guys, this is, you're not going to get this coverage anywhere else. We want to make sure our Mets we are here to serve the community. We want to make our Mets available for them. So if you guys have questions, just go ahead and drop them, and we'll get those answered for you.
So this is the European ensemble probabilities, and the ensembles are a product that we look at. It's a model that's tweaked 52 different ways, so we have 52 different solutions, and this is kind of like the mean and the average. And so for an inch of snow, this is the current chance. It's about a 65% chance for Raleigh, 63% in Fayetteville, 57% in Wilmington. So as of right now, the model suggests we have a high probability to see at least an inch of snow. Now, just for fun, and this is just for fun, for entertainment purposes, since we're so far out.
Entertainment purposes only.
For 3 inches of snow, it's only about a 40% chance here in Raleigh, 33% in Fayetteville. But notice, Jalen, the numbers are higher down east of the coast. So that model as of right now is kind of pinpointing perhaps the coastal area being the area that gets the most snow out of this. Because Boone's 31%, but Greenville's 47%. Look at it, Norfolk, Virginia, 60%.
Absolutely.
So for at least 3 inches of snow, the probability is higher there. So as we go through the week, and it's important to note that this is all subject to change. This is what we're seeing right now, and there is a possibility as this all begins to unfold, it can unfold in a different situation. So the reason why we're bringing it up now, we want you to be aware that there's the potential for something big this weekend.
To be aware, we got a couple more chats. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We got Lynn. Lynn would love to know where you're watching from. Believe most of the time, early in model runs, they always trend farther west. Could ride the coast. That's just a comment. Laura, do you know the timing of this event right now?
The way it looks right now, it would start Friday night, last through the day on Saturday, and then pull out on Sunday morning. So it's something that the heart of it would be for the day on Saturday. As of right now, we're going very conservative and only putting about a 20% chance of snow Friday night, 40% on Saturday, 40% Saturday night, and 30% on Sunday. But that's all subject to change, because if you joined our forecast this morning, when Elizabeth was on the air with Chris Michaels, they only had about a 30% chance Saturday and Sunday. So Kat and I have looked at the new models, and we've upped the chance. But I mean, if I was to go based on what I'm seeing right now, it's a very high likelihood that we could see snow over the weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Gabby would love to know where you're watching from as well. What would happen if the models trend farther west?
If the models trended farther west, that's an interesting scenario, because it would be able to help drag in warmer air off the coast, and it might turn into more of an icing situation at that point. Because like we saw this weekend, we have the cold air at the surface, but we have that warm nose in the 5,000 to 10,000 foot range, and that helped to change everything over to more of a freezing rain sleet setup. Now, I have to comment about what happened this weekend. All the models pointed to a freezing rain event, and we got more snow and sleet instead, and a little bit of freezing rain. That was very important for us, because what we were seeing last week, Wednesday and Thursday for this weekend, this past weekend, was a debilitating, crippling, catastrophic ice storm. Thank God we did not see that happen. I'm happy to bust a forecast when we don't get a crippling ice storm, because if we had a crippling ice storm, we would not have power. We have it here because we have a generator. But I've seen pictures out of Mississippi where they got the worst case scenario like we were thinking we would see, and it's devastation. It's trees down, it's trees on homes, trees on cars. It may be weeks before they get power back. So I am so thankful that we did not see that here. So if that low tracks farther inland or closer to the coast, it may be more of an icing scenario. That's something we have to watch as well. But right now, the models are pinpointing snow like they did last week, and we saw how it trended. It trended more into more icy conditions. That's a possibility this weekend.
Absolutely. We got a couple more thank yous in the chat. Thank you so much for your time. And guys, we're going to wrap up this live stream in a couple minutes to get Mike back on air as he gets ready for the rest of the newscast. He got a lot of work to do, and also how long, you know, some of our Mets have been here since Saturday, and so, you know, Mets meteorologists, they need rest too during this time period as well.
Staying at Camp WRAL is what I've been calling it.
Oh, Jesse, thank you so much for watching. We'll try to get the audio fixed up as well. All right, so I do have a couple questions
Sure,
for
what's
you.
up?
All right, so we're going through these models and things like that. Is there anything different preparation-wise that people need to be aware of than what we told them to be prepared for with the ice storm?
I think a lot of people probably still have provisions left over from last
Yes.
storm, so I think they'll be okay. What I need you to do now is just keep tuning in and watching and seeing how all this unfolds. And I'd say by Wednesday, we'll get the first look at some high-resolution model data, because when we look at the European and the American models, we call those global models. They're lower resolution. When you have a high-resolution model, the scale is really able to get in real fine detail. And so, yeah, this gives us an idea of what's happening in the farther range, but once we get the high-resolution models Wednesday and Thursday, especially Friday, we'll be able to really pinpoint what we'll see.
And I saw a little bit of a chart back there in you guys' work area talking about days out when you
Right.
guys make calls.
5 to 7 days, it's like watching weight.
So 5 to 7 days. What is the day range that you guys start to anticipate totals?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Yeah. So I'd say by the time we got to Thursday, we'd get a better idea of what we would see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you guys so much again for watching. If you haven't, like this video, make sure that you're subscribed, and hopefully you guys are getting content that you guys won't get anywhere else. Mike, is there any other maps that you want to walk us through?
And I'll just go through the trend map and what we're watching right now so you know what's on our minds.
Okay.
Coastal low potentially forms. We've discussed that. There's going to be plenty of Arctic air in place. So the morning low on Saturday is 15. The morning low on Sunday right now is 15 as well. So if you had snow, that would certainly stick. Now, if you had that warm nose come between 5 to 10,000 feet, like we did with the ice and the sleet and snow over the weekend, that will melt some of that snowflake activity, is what I call it, aloft, and then it would come to the ground as sleet, maybe a little leftover snow, and then freezing rain. So, even though there's plenty of Arctic air in place, that doesn't guarantee that the entire column is going to stay cold enough to support snow. That's something we need to watch. And as of right now, global models have sufficient moisture to produce wintry precipitation. So, our ears are perked up thinking we need to watch the weekend, and we need to let you know you need to watch the weekend too, because if that moisture that I'm looking at meets up with the cold air, there's a possibility there could be something pretty big. But if it's farther offshore, then there may not be much at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Lynn from Franklin County, thank you so much for watching. James, thank you. James out of Cary, I remember you from yesterday. Thank you so much for watching. If there's not any more questions in the chat, I think we can wrap this up a little bit early.
And there will be more Q&As as the week goes on. So
Yes, absolutely.
folks keep checking and watching, and we'll be able to answer more questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. You guys are going to see Mike Mays on air today, tomorrow, forevermore. He's a staple of the community, and we really appreciate him for your time. We'll do more of these Q&As as we get closer to the storm, and hopefully you guys tune in. Any more questions, I'm doing the final check. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, and then after this, you guys can go to the News Plus stream, watch the 4 o'clock news, and stay up to date on anything that impacts you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we appreciate you. Oh.
We clear?
Yeah, that was